Now, when you think of Africa, what comes to mind? Stunning landscapes, vibrant cultures, how about poverty? Yeah, I know, it's a bit of a buzzkill. So, the question is, if Africa is so rich, why are so many people struggling to put food on the table? That's the paradox we're unpacking today, folks. Alright people, let's talk about this whole resource curse thing. It sounds like something out of a superhero movie, right? But trust me, it's about as fun as a root canal. You see, Africa is sitting on a treasure trove of natural resources. We're talking diamonds that could make a Kardashian blush, oil fields that would make a Texan drool, and enough gold to make King Midas look like an amateur. But here's the kicker. Instead of making African nations wealthy, these resources have often brought more problems than solutions. It's like winning the lottery and ending up bankrupt. How does that even happen? Well, my friends, it's a tale as old as time, filled with corruption, greed, and a whole lot of shady dealings. Imagine this. A country discovers a massive oil field. Suddenly, everyone and their grandmother wants a piece of the action. Politicians start lining their pockets, foreign companies swoop in with promises of riches, and before you know it, the average citizen is left with nothing but an oil-stained shirt and a whole lot of frustration. This, my friends, is the essence of the resource curse. It's a vicious cycle where countries become dependent on a single resource, neglecting other sectors of their economy. And when the price of that resource drops, well, let's just say it's not pretty. The resource curse also fuels conflict and instability. Rebel groups pop up, governments start throwing their weight around, and before you know it, you've got a full-blown war on your hands. The truth is, there are ways to break this curse. It takes strong leadership, responsible resource management, and a commitment to investing in education and infrastructure. Yo, let's rewind the clock a bit, shall we? To a time when European powers decided Africa was their own personal buffet. They carved up the continent like a birthday cake, claiming resources and exploiting people for their own gain. It was the ultimate smash and grab, and let's just say they weren't exactly leaving tips. They stripped Africa of its resources, leaving economies in shambles and creating a system of dependency that still haunts the continent today. It's like going to a restaurant, eating all the food, and then forcing the restaurant owner to pay for your meal. It's messed up, right? But here's the thing. Colonialism might be over, but the exploitation, not so much. Foreign companies, often with the help of corrupt officials, continue to extract resources at an alarming rate, leaving little more than environmental damage and empty promises in their wake. It's like that friend who crashes on your couch, eats all your food, and never offers to chip in for rent. Except in this case, the friend is a multinational corporation and the rent is Africa's future. These companies often operate with little regard for local communities or the environment. They pollute rivers, displace communities, and contribute to a system where Africans are denied a fair share of their own resources. Not cool, man, not cool. Africa has the potential to be a global economic powerhouse, but it can't happen if foreign companies continue to treat it like their own personal piggy bank. Chapter 3. Political instability and corruption. Let's be real, folks. Political instability and corruption are like those annoying relatives who show up uninvited and overstay their welcome. They wreak havoc, cause drama, and leave everyone feeling drained. And unfortunately, in many African countries, they've become unwelcome guests that just can't take a hint. You see, when you have weak institutions, a lack of transparency, and leaders who are more interested in lining their pockets than serving their people, it creates a breeding ground for corruption. It's like leaving a tray of freshly baked cookies unattended in a room full of hungry teenagers. What do you think is going to happen? And the worst part? It's the everyday citizens who suffer the most. They're the ones who are denied basic services, education, and healthcare because the money that's supposed to be going towards those things ends up in some Swiss bank account. It's like going to a doctor with a broken leg and being told there are no bandages because some corrupt official decided to buy a new yacht instead. It's not just unethical, it's downright criminal. And then there's the issue of political instability. Coups, civil wars, and political violence create chaos and uncertainty, making it nearly impossible to build a stable and prosperous economy. But here's the good news. There are countries in Africa that are showing the way forward. They're tackling corruption head-on, strengthening institutions, and promoting good governance. Chapter 4. Lack of industrialization and infrastructure. Okay folks, let's talk about a topic that's not as glamorous as diamonds or oil, but Just as important, industrialization and infrastructure. You see, Africa has been stuck in a bit of a rut. We've been exporting raw materials for centuries, but we haven't been doing enough to process those materials ourselves. It's like having a farm full of delicious fruits and vegetables, but only exporting them instead of turning them into jams, juices, and other value-added products. We're leaving so much potential on the table. And then there's the issue of infrastructure. Roads, railways, ports, electricity. These are the building blocks of a modern economy. But in many parts of Africa, infrastructure is either lacking or in dire need of an upgrade. It's like trying to win a Formula One race with a beat-up old jalopy. You might have the raw talent, but you need the right tools to succeed. Without proper infrastructure, it's incredibly difficult to attract foreign investment, create jobs, and improve the lives of ordinary citizens. But here's the thing. Investing in industrialization and infrastructure is a no-brainer. It creates jobs, boosts economic growth, and helps lift people out of poverty. Chapter 5. The Way Forward. Can Africa break the cycle? Alright folks, I know what you're thinking. Taraken, you've painted a pretty bleak picture. Is there any hope for Africa? And the answer is a resounding yes. Despite the challenges, there's a spirit of innovation and entrepreneurship sweeping across the continent. We've got young people creating groundbreaking technologies, entrepreneurs building successful businesses, and a growing movement towards sustainable development. It's like watching a field of wildflowers bloom after a long drought. African governments are starting to realize that the old ways of doing things just aren't working. They're implementing reforms, tackling corruption, and investing in education and infrastructure. It's a slow process, but progress is being made. And let's not forget about the power of the people. Across Africa, citizens are demanding better governance, accountability, and a fair share of their country's wealth. They're organizing, protesting, and making their voices heard. The journey ahead won't be easy. There will be setbacks, obstacles, and those who cling to the old ways. But the future of Africa is bright. Outro, the future is now. So there you have it, folks. Africa's story is complex, challenging, and full of contradictions. But it's also a story of resilience, innovation, and hope. With the right leadership, smart investments, and a commitment to empowering local communities, Africa can turn its vast natural wealth into a brighter future for all. What do you think are the biggest challenges and opportunities facing Africa today? Hit me up in the comments below. And don't forget to like, subscribe, and share this video with your friends.